Hello, welcome to my channel, Moxie Journal. My name is Calyx, sometimes go by Moxie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm so excited for today's video. Excited hands, excited hands. I got to go on the trip of a lifetime a couple months ago now, and I just haven't gotten to film a video about the decks that I got while I was there. And what I did is I got to go to Russia. Now, traveling to Russia, particularly as an American right now, is not very easy. And I studied Russian language and literature when I was in college 30 years ago, and 40 years ago, wow, I can't do math, a long time ago. And I never thought I would get a chance to actually go despite studying. Now, my language is very rusty because it's been a long time. I've been trying to get a little more fluent in the past short while. And then I had this chance to go because last year I started dating someone who lived in Russia for 20 years, who has an ex that's still in Russia, and who has kids that are growing up as, you know, bicultural and splitting time between America and Russia. So they go back and forth three, four times a year. And I got invited to go to celebrate one of their daughter's birthdays and to have summer in Moscow, and it was really exciting, and I loved it. And I brought home I brought home 5 decks. Now on my channel I've shown a folkloric deck, a Russian folklore deck that I was given as a present. So I'm not going to feature that one today because I've already shown it. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description, but I am going to show you the decks that I got on this trip. What I'm not going to do really is talk about the politics. They are kind of complicated and nuanced. I don't mind talking about them one-on-one. I don't want to talk about them in my comments, other than I don't mind if you have some experience or conversation about what kind of challenges it can be, or how maybe you've dealt with, communicating or getting decks or that kind of thing with people in other countries where the politics are can be challenged. I don't mind it coming from that point, but specific other things, just, kindness, and let's think about, just what forum this is. So this isn't really a political forum, even though it does kind of impact purchasing and traveling and just interacting with each other in the world. So if you really do want to have that conversation with me, I'm all for it. You can email me, you can DM me, and I will have that conversation with you. Okay, so that's a little bit of setup. But I do want to show you, I got 3 decks that you might recognize because they are Russian versions of decks that are printed in English. And then I have 2 that were by Russian creators, and as best I can tell, I haven't been able to find them printed in the US or Europe or in English. So that's what I'm going to show you. And I am going to tell you that let me go ahead and show you. Here's the first one. This is Tarot of Haunted House by Sasha Graham and Mirko Pierre Federici. So this is the Russian version. This is a Lo Scarabeo deck. Excuse me. And Lo Scarabeo is a Italian company, so you can kind of see the bottom. And as such, I think that they don't have the same kinds of issues with sanctions and things that America does, right? So American companies can't be there. Even big multinational companies like McDonald's or whatever can't be in Russia right now. So I did want to, while I was there, I wanted to get some decks and kind of compare them. So this was one that I had that I wanted to compare. And then I did want to be careful. And honestly, I have to be careful about this in the US too, is I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting knockoffs or, cheap fake reprints. And sometimes that's hard to tell just from external packaging here or there, or probably anywhere. I mean, I think we all, as tarot and oracle enthusiasts, kind of have to pay attention to that. And that's not even getting into the AI, right? So, like in the US recently, the beginning of the year, I was at a little metaphysical shop at the beach, and they had a whole big stack of decks that they were selling for like $5 and $6, and they were clearly cheapo, poorly printed, cellophane wrapped decks from knockoffs. And the person that was running the shop wasn't actually the owner, but I did say, you do know these are knockoff copies? And she said, oh, no, we get them from a wholesaler. It's all above board. These are real decks. And I was like, no, anyway, I just didn't get into it too much with her other than to say that, and I did not buy anything. So I think that's something we need to watch out for wherever we go. And but this one, from what I remembered when I was there, I thought, oh, that looks a lot like mine, and it had Lo Scarabeo on the bottom. So I thought, oh, I'll check this out. Now, I get the cards out. I did kind of forget in my enthusiasm that, I saw the Russian on the front of the box, and I totally forgot that there actually aren't any words on the cards themselves. So, but I will say, then I thought, well, I'll just compare cardstock. So I have, it's just a little white book. It is Lo Scarabeo. Although when we get the Lo Scarabeo decks here, they're often in, French and Spanish and Italian and another, let me look, maybe Portuguese. Let's see. So it's a little bit thicker of a book when we get the one that's here, right? So it's sort of a slightly different, still Lo Scarabeo, but that says Abalone. And then, English, Italian, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. So the cards actually are exactly the same. I did put them in order so I could show them to you. And the cardstock is exactly the same for this deck. If you have this deck, it's very thin, it's papery, it's not artsy, but it's fun. It's a fun deck. I haven't used it a whole lot. I have played with it some, and I haven't. This is the card for the. Oh, this must be the. Is this the English one? Did I just mix them up? Oh no, it's exactly the same in both of them, right? So the Russian and the English. So really the main difference in this one is little book, but it's fun. Actually, for me, that's kind of fun because I am trying to get my language up, and so it's already translated. And I have to say, we are lucky to live in a world of Google Translate. It is actually quite helpful. It's not perfect. If you've used Google Translate, you know the issues that can kind of come in with it, but it's not a bad starting place. But this is more professionally translated, and I'm excited to get to work with it. And this deck wasn't very expensive either there or here. So that one. The other two that I have that are Russian versions of decks that are available here is this Moonology. Now, I don't have the version in English of Moonology. Oh, my little puppy is trying to, can you do that, bub? My little puppy is trying to climb up on the couch, and he's physically challenged. Well, actually, he's kind of mentally challenged. He's just a sweet little special puppy. Hold on one second. Yeah, I'll get you to step up. Yeah, put your foot. There you go. There you go. He's very sweet, but he can't always quite figure out stairs. Anyway, so sorry for the interruption. All right, back to Moonology. So these cards my best friend has, and we use them, and they're very pretty. These are the ones, I know there are several versions of Moonology. I think this is maybe the original, the first one. I don't know. This is the first one I saw, and it comes printed like this. I do want the dark Moonology, the Dark Moon one. I don't know. I can't remember enough about the book. This is kind of like newsprint on the inside. The little book is thick. It's about the same size as the cards. And honestly, these cards, this is by Hay House, right? So again, Hay House is a UK company. I don't think they have some of the same issues. It's 44 cards, and it looks official. I think it's got the same cardstock again. Not my favorite, but not terrible, right? They're pretty. And this one, they are in Russian. So I put them in the order, but these are, right? These are the moon and the different signs with the different phrases here. So I'm excited to get to work with this one. And well, I guess I could flip through some of these you could see them. If you've seen this deck, you'll know these pictures are exactly the same. And the phrases, again, I haven't worked with this one. I've worked with the other two. I specifically worked with the last one I'm going to show you, the one that is done by a Russian, specifically a Siberian creator. And, oh no, here are the moon and the astrological sign. But from the little bit I've done this, I just did kind of lay them out and shuffled them, and I reordered them, and I kind of went through the book just with the titles. I'm very slow with the translation, particularly because when I studied Russian, I didn't learn almost any of these words. I certainly didn't learn any magic and astrological words. So, but it looks like these, from what I could tell from watching a flip through online, it looks like these are translated into Russian very nicely. So I'm a Leo. There's my Leo. Okay, so I'll end there so that this video is, I'm going to try not to make it too terribly long, but I did want to just have fun with these cards. And I'll play more with these. I'm working on learning a little more astrology, so these might come into play. But this one is a Compendium of Witches by Natasha Alinich. Anyway, and I think she is Italian. This is another Lo Scarabeo deck, but this is, you know, like a box kit Lo Scarabeo, and this deck has been on my list in English for a while, and I just haven't gotten it. And when I saw it there, I was like, oh yes, that will be great. And the book is very nice quality. It's got the big pictures, and these do in fact have, let me put this box out of the way, these do have the Russian translated title on there. This cardstock is heavier, it's nicer. I haven't seen this deck in their sort of oracle size. I haven't seen this deck in a printing here, so I don't know how it compares, but it's beautiful. It's and I again put them back in order. They're numbered, so that's easy to see. And and then the guidebook has the big picture and then the story. So I'm very excited to get to work with this one. I have been very interested in these images. I think they are haunting. I really like that. And I think I looked it up, and I think the artist is Italian, maybe from the Alps there. Anyway, so again, I won't do a whole flip through because this one is available, and I think a lot of folks have it, but it's one that I just hadn't got. Oh, like that is so haunting. So, is she pretty? And there's one. I did do a couple of readings. This says Rabotnica down at the bottom. It's like a worker. And I love that she's got this harvest here with her animals. Rabotit is the word for work, to work. Oh, look at that. That says Otchelnica, I think. Otchelnica. Again, I'm like a kindergartner. I have to sound everything out. Yeah, I'm not going to sound that one out. That would take me a while. So I'm much better at writing than actually speaking, but I can when I get going. And I did a pretty good job when I was there at the shops. When you have a common interest, it's a lot easier to talk to the shopkeepers. So we did, we did a lot of pointing, and luckily my partner is fluent, although again, speaking about magic is its own kind of thing. This says familiar, right? So that's a familiar, rustic. And so sviet is the word for light. And this is a minhir. I think that's a Celtic word, right? The monolith minhir. So anyway, so this is This is grain, harvest, the sickle. So anyway, these are gorgeous cards. I'm so excited to have them. Look. And I love that this actually says storm, which is pretty funny. It is interesting because Russian is written in the Cyrillic alphabet, and some of the letters are the same as in English, but they mean something different. It's it can be there's some adjustments. So I'm really impressed with people who are truly bilingual between Russian and English and can just flip back and forth, like my partner's daughters. They are darling. And if you've ever been to the restaurant Chopped, the way it's written, the print, and it's CHOPT, but the way it's printed, if you look at it from a Cyrillic perspective, it says snort, and now I can't unsee that, right? So when I got back and we were talking about it, and I'm old enough that when I was studying Russian, I wasn't taught to print. I was taught to write in cursive. So I actually have another layer that it's almost like learning it again. I can read the print, but actually writing it is harder for me because I never learned to write the print. And the printed letters are actually different, and they're, more than we have in English. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. But it's just some of the things about working with another language and changing, sort of back and forth. So if you're bilingual and you know how to do that back and forth, even if you can see Romance language, right? Your eyes and your phrases have to adjust. You can think of the word for something in one language you can't come up with in the other, and it's fun with languages. So here's the fourth deck I have to show you. This is called Tarot of this is like green magic. Zeleny is the word for green. This turns out to be a Celtic deck. It's by Russian author Luba Krasnik. Karasik, actually, Karasik. But it's sort of Celtic inspired. So I thought it was going to be more green witch as opposed to like green as in Celtic. Again, because I didn't see a flip through, I didn't get to look at it before I got it. But I'm still kind of excited about it. It kind of comes out in this drawer, and it does. Russians actually have a lot of their signs that are part in English and then the rest in Russian. So this packaging is not unusual. The fact that it says Witch Tarot in English, but then says Tarot of the green magic here, and this is like karty is the word for cards, and cards that speak, right? And let's see, and it's 78 cards, and this is the word for handbook, guidebook to the magic. However, it's got a little bat here. So I think somewhere it says, so that it says that it's based on the Systema Waita, which is the Rider-Waite Smith, the Waite, that's the, Systema, yes. The vowels are a little bit different. So this is an E and then another sort of E sound. Anyway, you don't need to know all that. Let's look at the cards. And this comes in the book kind of side like this, and then the cards here. Now this card stock is kind of back to being like the Lo Scarabeo Haunted House cards. It's pretty thin and flimsy. There's no core, but they're still, they're pretty. The printing feels solid. This is our Fool. He's really a knight, the way they kind of portray him. We've got the knotwork. And this is the Mage, or the Magician. She's female in this one. This is the High Priestess, although that's not the word. I translated this, and I'll think of it in a minute. It's like old ancestral spirits or something like that. This is the Empress, but she's died nature. And then this is like the Great King instead of the Emperor. They actually use the word for, So the word Peter the Great, this Beliki, this is the Great, and this is the King. And there we have the Hierophant, the teacher. These are the lovers. Lubov is the word for love. And then the Chariot. And here, this is the Strength card, but this is actually the word for love, Lubov. I was just saying it's not the word for strength, but you have the imagery here, which I think is kind of interesting. And then this is the Hermit. This is the Wheel of Fortune, but this is basically like the Wheel of Life, the circle of life. And then this is the Justice card, but this is not, this word doesn't mean justice. I'll think of it in just a minute. So sorry, I should have written some of these down. This is the Hanged one. This is Death. So these are some of the images, right? So this is more like the elder gods as opposed to the devil. This is the Tower. This word actually means destruction. Zvezda, that's the word for star. Krasnaya Zvezda is like the red star. It's like a Russian naval publication back in the day. Luna, that's the moon. That's the sun. Solza. Oh, this is ancestral spirits. Duchi is like spirits, spirits of the ancestors. And this is the world, the universe card, but it's actually Avalon. So, and then we get into the suits, and they're these are the numbers here of the suits. And I'll flip a little faster as we go through. But it's fun to have these illustrated. Again, it is a Russian author, but she's illustrating a Celtic, sort of an interpreted Celtic card. Although I do love this ballet, like almost a Russian ballerina version of the page. And then we have the Knight, and then the Queen, and then the King, and then back. Now we have Pentacles, so it goes Wands, and then Pentacles, Dvoika, Troika, Четверка. There's the 5. So I think that these will not be hard to read with. I've looked at these, and I did one reading, and it's just a very Rider-Waite-Smith. Here's the page with little pumpkins, and there's the Knight and the Queen and the King. I do think these figures are mostly young, except like the ancestor ones. Here we have swords. I think this one's interesting. This 3 of Swords doesn't have the pierced heart that we're used to seeing in sort of the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, and I like that. So the resting for the 4 of Swords, the 5 and the 6. And these are, sort of illustrated pips here. There's the 9 and then the 10, and we get the Page and the Knight, the Queen. I do like that Queen of Swords. I like this light, this illumination coming down at her, and then the King with that eagle stooping there, and then here we have the Ace of Cups, and then the 2 and the 3. Here's our community, sisterhood, friendship card. And I think this is kind of interesting. This is almost like a Rusalka kind of image, or maybe it's Lady of the Lake if it's supposed to be Celtic. All right, here we have the 5 and then the 6. got that nostalgia image there. 7, the pretty traditional, although, I mean, wowzers. I don't usually see a pickle spider. This one, I don't like disembodied eyes. That kind of creeps me out. 8, and then 9, and then 10. Here's the page, like the little Selkie, like she's got a little sort of Zeftig. Oh, and what did I do with the, oh, I'm like, I got to the night and this box with some of the cards. Don't love this packaging so much, but, and here's the queen. I do like this queen. I love her shell kind of throne, but she looks like she's all of 22 or something. And then we have the king. So this is the Tarot of Green Magic, and the book does have a picture, a kind of nice sized picture. It's got keywords, it has some reversals, it's got a little bit of write-up about what's there and what to do. And it does follow the Rider-Waite-Smith image. So I'm excited to have this one. It's not quite what I thought it would be, but you know, it was not a bad surprise either. And now I'm going to share my favorite one, the one I'm the most excited about. And this one is an oracle deck. Reka Perimin. Again, please excuse my horrible Russian accent. If you speak Russian, I hope you hear it in original intonations. But this one is by Ekaterina, and her last name is Anikina. And when I sort of had this conversation back and forth with one of the shopkeepers, kind of talking about this one, this is the author that I think is Siberian, or at least this deck draws on Siberian folklore. Siberian and like northern Finnish Arctic Circle. The word Eskimo is used at one point. So artwork. Now this one does turn out not to have Russian on the cards. It's just in the book. But this is maybe the beefiest little white book I have ever seen. It's not newsprint. It's kind of a step up from newsprint, but it's kind of along that. So I'll be able to write on it. And it doesn't have pictures in the book. I may Xerox some and put them in here just so I can have an image there. Oh, that's the word for teacher, uchitel. The word for female teacher is uchitelnitsa, which is hard. It's one of the first words you have to learn when you're studying, because that's what you call your teacher, uchitelnitsa. I like this one because it has footnotes where it kind of talks about things, and then it explains a little bit, so sort of the backstory, or about this is actually explaining what a shaman is. So this talks about the shaman, the teacher, uchitelnitsa or uchitel. But then this talks about, that's the word for shaman. It talks about sort of the background of what a shaman is and where it comes from. So this is a really, I think, interesting book. It's a deck of cards, but the book that goes with it, this is I may have said this, the River of Change. So these are cards, metaphysical cards for changing your life. And then the artist does talk about the imagery in the book, about why, like, this is about being, the mouth being stitched and silenced, and some of this, the artistic fabric costumes, like this is what those people wear. So there some of these are legends from the steppes and the tundra. Some of them are from indigenous folks, and so I am excited about learning to work with this one. I have worked with this one more than the others because I was really excited about this artist. And there's something about this art style that I don't know, it was a little Disney-esque, but also a little deeper, a little darker, kind of. I liked the Siberian parts. These do read as pretty cold. Like, I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but they're very sort of steely gray blues and kind of frosty colors. Even with these reds, there's these browns, it's kind of this earthy color. I like this little fox that's in the moon and this reflection. This is the cover art. I love her face. Look at that determination on her face. So look at these. Look at this, you know, lineage here. Spiral in the hands, the tree, the life, the connection. Right, this is sort of one of the warmest cards because it actually has fire, but it looks like waves of fire, like water fire. And then she's got all those arms and then the braids. I think these are really pretty to look at. This is an interesting card. I drew this one. This is about sort of your shadow self and what's holding you back and expectations. And is this a protective spirit or is it a destructive spirit? It's just interesting. Look at this. That's like a strength card type of the almost looks like our depictions of like the like Genghis Khan, like the Mongols across the steppes. This connection, this little light here, these threads. I think this card is about fate and connection. Look, their hair is braided together. These bird spirits. She does reference in the guidebook, which again, I've only really translated about 3 of the cards fully, and I've done a little bit of looking at the others. I have been, and these are easy to put back in order because they're just numerical, so they're easy to look up. And that's another one of the warmer ones. It's like fishing and bounty in this. I didn't look that one up, but that one looks interesting. These are ravens or crows, and it's definitely at night. We've got some interesting things going on. Look at this. Look at those antlers. Moose or an elk or reindeer. It's probably a reindeer up in that part. This one is about masks and about the pack, maybe. Oh, this one's probably the most fiery card. This is a phoenix type of card. And then look at that. I like these tusks here coming, right? This is almost like this mastodon spirit there. Great spirits. And then the river. Again, the River of Change is the name of this deck. And I think this is interesting. This is sort of the lantern's a little bit like a hermit, but also he's covering his eyes to go into the dark with the light. And then you've got these ancestral spirits here too. So I just think these cards, they seem like a little naive in the art style. I mean, a little of that sort of illustrated, possibly Disney style, but for me that is positive and exciting, and these are accessible and pretty, and I am really happy to have this. You know, this is Moscow, right? So this is printed in Moscow. Here's this kind of background information. All right, so those are my treasures that I brought back. I'll put them all on screen so we can see them at once. Do you like to get decks when you travel? Do you get them in languages that you don't, okay, well, I can't get them all in, that you don't speak fluently? Do you use them as a way to study a language? What do you think about that? And I thank you so much for being here with me today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Before you leave, subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this content, give me a thumbs up, and then I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.